All right, I'd like to call the June 10th, 2019 Village Board meeting to order. Would you please stand to be led by the Pledge of Allegiance by Trustee Janelle?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please.
Clafferty,
Here.
Snagowski,
Here.
Stapleton,
Here.
Kittredge,
Here.
Kwasniewski,
Here.
and Maher.
Okay, great. Next up is the consent agenda. Tonight, we're going to be looking for approval of the May 13th, 2019 Village Board minutes, as well as the May 20th Village Board Cow meeting minutes. In addition, approval of disbursements. An ordinance amending Lamont Municipal Code Chapter 5.04, the liquor licenses, creating Class License A3-1 liquor license. Also, an ordinance amending Lamont Municipal Code Chapter 5.04, Section 5.04.080, alcoholic beverages, increasing the number of A31 liquor licenses. An ordinance granting variations to 17.06.030E and 17.06.030H of the Lamont Unified Development Ordinance to allow a detached garage with a height in excess of 15 feet and to allow more than 36% rear lot coverage in the R4 district located at the address of 1106 McCarthy Road in Lamont. Also, a resolution approving a final plat of subdivision for the property at 485th Street, Lamont, Illinois, known as Aries subdivision. Need a motion, please.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee McClafferty, seconded by trustee Snagowski. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Clafferty,
Yes.
Snagowski,
Yes.
Stapleton,
Yes.
Kittredge,
Yes.
Kwasniewski,
Yes.
Maher.
Okay, motion approved. Next up, the mayor's mention. We have a couple things going on this week. We have the Lamont Farmers Market. Will begin June 11th with Tuesdays on Telcott. So we are relocating that, so please come on out. The village will be running the market and bringing it back 2 Tuesdays from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Again, it's going to be at the Telcott parking lot where Bottles and Pollyannas are located. Visit at the website lamont.il.us for more information. Also, the Lamont Legends Cruise Night on Wednesday, June 12th from 6 to 9 p.m. in downtown Lamont. Please visit myhcba.com for more information. We just had our latest car show this past Wednesday. It's great to see everyone out, and it's great to see we finally have some sunshine. So again, encourage everyone to get out and enjoy the town. Also, on Thursday, June 13th, 7 to 9 p.m., our Sunset Soiree concert will be held at the downtown. Visit the LamontParkDistrict.org for more information on this event. Again, these are typically every other Thursday, so again, we encourage people to come on out. Also on Sunday, June 16th, Centennial Park Rock Pit Skate Park is hosting a skateboard contest from 2 to 4 p.m. All skaters must register, and registration begins at 1 p.m. Also on Tuesday, June 18th, Covington North Park is hosting Movies in the Park starting at 7 p.m. They will be playing Ralph Breaks the Internet. It is a free event, so for more information, please visit the Lamont Park District website at lamontparkdistrict.org. Also on Friday, June 21st, Open Friendship Foundation and Gelsasimo's Pizzeria will host a youth open mic challenge competition night for 21 and under at Gelsasimo's Pizzeria from 6 to 9 p.m. And again, for more information, please visit hopeandfriendshipfoundation.com. That is it for the mayor's mention. I know we have a pretty large crowd here tonight, so we're going to open it up to audience participation. Again, if you want to speak, please come on up. If you can limit yourself to 3 minutes, that'd be great. Again, we want to be considerate of everyone's time. So again, if you want to come on up, please help yourself to the podium. Jerry? No? You raised your hand there. Okay, I think we're good. So no audience participation. So moving on, we'll head to the clerk's report.
Thank you. The first ordinance of many I have this evening, the first one would be if passed, O-39-19. And this is amending the zoning map for the Village of Lamont from R1 Single Family Detached Residential District and R5 Single Family Attached District to a B4 Commercial Recreation District and a B3 Arterial Commercial District at the northwest corner of Walker Road and Main Street. 14501, 14507. Main Street and 14505 on the Illinois and Michigan Canal in Lamont, better known as the Forge.
Okay, great. And again, that incorporates all addresses from 14501 to 14507, correct? Yep, okay. All right, with that being said, need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay, motion by trustee McClafferty.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Stapleton. Jason, are you going to help us out on this?
Mayor. Yeah, we have actually, this is the first of 4 ordinances related to the Forge Lamont Quarries, an anticipated outdoor adventure park located in part at the Heritage Quarries Recreation Area in Lamont. This is the outdoor recreation park that will bring zip lines, rope courses, trails, kids' activities, potentially restaurant and more to the quarries. The first ordinance in particular is for the rezoning of land. At the May 1, 2019 public hearing with the PZC, staff at that time did not recommend the B3 zoning, preferring a B4 zoning for that property to be consistent with the remainder of the park. There was to be a PZC meeting on Wednesday. Unfortunately, we didn't have a quorum, so we couldn't hear the Forge's proposal to rezone that portion, the B3 portion, to B4. Because we weren't able to have that meeting, the Forge asked that we move forward with the process and get a vote on potential B3 zoning for that piece. But they do intend to come back for B4 zoning, and in fact, that's one of the conditions of the third ordinance, the preliminary phase 2 approval.
Okay, thanks, Jason. So again, no quorum at the planning and zoning, so we're going to move forward with it as is and rezone as, they've committed to wanting to
Yes,
rezone.
and we anticipate we'll have a PZC hearing on June 19th to
Great,
consider the B4 zoning.
great. And we'll talk more about the commissions as well later on. With that being said, again, we've talked about this park for the last year and a half at many public meetings as well as the mayor's address. We're very excited potentially about what this park could bring. I think, and overall the community, we've gotten great feedback, very exciting proposition. And again, we look forward to, depending on how it goes tonight, looking forward to moving on and working with the Forge. So with that being said, any other questions or comments? Okay, roll call, please.
McClafferty?
Yes.
Snagowski?
Yes.
Stapleton?
Yes.
Kittredge?
Yes.
Kwasniewski?
Yes.
Maher?
Yes.
Okay, motion approved.
The next item, if passed this evening, would be ordinance O-40-19. And this is granting a final planned unit development, a PUD, plan approval for Phase 1 of the Forge Adventure Park, located at the northwest corner of Walker Road and Main Street. Again, the same addresses as before, 14501 through 14507 on Main Street and 14505 and the Illinois and Michigan Canal in Lamont, Illinois. This is the Phase 2.
Phase one.
Oh, it says 2. Oh, I'm sorry.
Phase one.
Okay, okay.
Uh,
Phase 1.
Okay, need a motion, please.
So moved?
Second.
Okay, motion by trustee McClafferty, seconded by trustee Kwasniewski. Jason, anything else to add?
Yeah, just because of the complexity with the proposed railroad crossing at Walker, the Forge brought in a project that goes in 2 phases. So this first phase will enter through the existing Heritage Quarries entrance, but will provide the full tower, zip line, and all the activities related to that at this time.
Okay, great. Any other comments, questions?
I just want to clarify that the work being done in the quarries will be funded by this project as well. It won't be, there won't be any village money being spent on this initiative, correct?
Correct, yep. And I think I've been asked that question throughout town, or it's been brought up again. This is, any type of buildings, which will be phase 2, will be on, most likely, it will be on private land, correct? Private land that is not owned by the village or the township or MWRD. No village money will be funding this project. This is a private funded project. It's important to understand that. Again, this is private money that's coming in. There is a partnership agreement, obviously, to utilize village land as well as the township land. And the township has signed off on this as well, and we appreciate the cooperation with them. In fact, we've been working together on this. Again, I think, I'm not going to talk for you, Steve's in the audience here, but I think we're very excited about this project, and we appreciate the township's assistance on this. But again, this is a privately funded project. Again, the public land will be fully, as always, open to the public as it is today. They will have utilization fully of what we call the passive activities, whatever you do today as far as fishing, running, jogging, so forth, so on. The trails, those will continue to be open. The park will be open to the public, even for non-paying customers during business hours. Obviously, they will charge for services that require a waiver to go on the ropes, so, the rope courses. So with that being said, any other comments on this? Okay, we can move to a vote.
Flaherty,
Yes.
Sagowski,
Yes.
Stapleton,
Yes.
Kittredge,
Yes.
Kwasniewski,
Yes.
Maher.
Yes.
Okay, motion approved.
The next ordinance to pass this evening would be O-41-19, and that's granting a preliminary planned unit development, or a PUD, plan of approval for Phase 2, this time it is 2, of the Forge Adventure Park, located at the northwest corner of Walker Road and Main Street. Again, that is 14501 through 14507 Main Street, and 14505 at the Illinois and Michigan Canal in Lamont, Illinois.
Okay, and again, that's phase 2, and so with that, need a motion to approve.
Moved.
Second?
Okay, got a motion by trustee Snagowski, seconded by trustee Maher. Jason, anything else to add?
No, nothing.
Okay, and again, phase 2 is the proposed multi-million-dollar development after phase 1, which will include mainly the structures, the building structures, correct?
Indoor rock climbing, restaurant, opportunity for corporate events and other such activities.
And for those of you that have not been at the other public meetings, again, phase 1 is mainly the tower and the activity, the rope climbing activity, as well as the courses, what I call the bicycle courses, but they're referred to as pump courses. And again, phase 2 will be contingent upon the crossing of the railroad. Again, we had to break this up. One major reason is due to access. We will be putting in a railroad crossing. We will extend Walker Road North. Walker Road North will cross the railroad track. Unfortunately, that's owned by Canadian National, and if anyone has worked with railroads, they move at the speed of a glacier. It takes quite a bit of time. we're not going to be able to wait on them, so that's a couple years down the road. And also, it depends on the success of the park as well, as far as how much more, investment goes in. But again, Phase 2 is down the road. So, any other comments? All right, with that being said, roll call, please.
McClafferty?
Yes.
Snagowski?
Yes.
Stapleton?
Yes.
Kittredge?
Yes.
Kwasniewski?
Yes.
Maher?
Yes.
Okay, motion approved.
The next ordinance, if passed this evening, would be O-42-19, and this is a license agreement between the Village of Lamont and LTAP Acquisition Limited.
Okay, need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by trustee Maher, seconded by trustee Snagowski. George, you want to
Yep,
take
I'll
this?
take that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the mayor mentioned, this is a public-private partnership, and while the village is not going to be contributing dollars into the project, it is going to be contributing its village-owned land to be utilized for the project, as the mayor mentioned. For those that aren't aware, back in the late 60s, the village had the foresight to purchase from the state the I&M Canal, which through the town, which also includes 90 feet on each side. So some of that area, while there won't be any improvements on the property, there'll be structural improvements, I should say. There's going to be trails, access to the property. So that this is the utilization of village-owned land to be used in conjunction with the forge. Again, really a win-win for the village. Obviously, right now, the village doesn't have the staff or the resources to maintain the I&M Canal Reserve Strip or neighboring areas. So really good opportunity for the forge to take control over it through a license agreement for a term of 50 years, with outs if the project doesn't move forward as we hope it will. So, but yeah, no, just moving forward, this agreement, there's an existing license agreement, a temporary one on the property now, but this will be more longer term, so they can continue to plan for their event and also include activities on the village-owned reserve strip along with some other land. Couple quick items we talked at length at a committee of the whole meeting about. Improvements. I mean, the forge will also be using township property. They'll be entering into their own license agreement with the township for items such as the parking area. The village is going to be working with the township on constructing the parking area with getting reimbursement from the forge. We were going to bring forward a IGA, intergovernmental agreement, with the township tonight, but in talking to our risk management carriers, we thought we were a little bit premature, and in 2 weeks we'll have that agreement after talking to the township. Again, just trying to do it right, making sure everything is set in place, but the license agreement will be in place here tonight if approved, so the forge can continue to move forward on their project while we're waiting for the next 2 weeks. We're working out an intergovernmental agreement with the township. So had a good call today with the township, our attorney, their attorney, our risk management pool. We're close on that agreement, but really between the three agreements, this project should move forward where the forge will have land rights to move forward with phase 1 of their development.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, George. And again, there's no permanent any structure that does go up on village or even township, I believe those structures can be taken down, or they have to be able to have the ability to be taken down. So again, no permanent buildings will go on any type of taxpayer-owned land. And again, phase 2 would be, permanent structures that would be on their own private property. Any other comments? Okay, can we have a roll call, please?
McCafferty?
Yes.
Snagowski?
Yes.
Stapleton?
Yes.
Kittredge?
Yes.
Kwasniewski?
Yes.
Maher?
Yes.
Okay, motion approved.
The next ordinance, if passed this evening, would be O-43-19, and this is amending the zoning map for the Village of Lamont from R4 Single-Family Detached Residential District to an R5A Single-Family Detached and Attached Residential District at 100 West New Avenue and 40 Timberline Drive in Lamont, Illinois. This is Timber Run.
Okay, need a motion, please.
So moved?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee McClafferty, seconded by trustee Snagowski. Jason, are you taking the lead on
Yeah,
this?
pleased to start. This is the first of 6 ordinances related to the proposed Taylor Morrison development known as Timber Run. This is land that was annexed into the village in 2017. It's already zoned R4 and R5, and a preliminary PUD known as Vistancia was approved for this land with 270 units. If approved, Timber Run would replace that PUD with a 94-home subdivision, a mix of single-family and duplex home. Any land that was annexed as part of Vistancia will remain in the village, will have the zoning it has now, but this PUD proposes to rescind that preliminary PUD approval. So the additional 176 units that was part of Vistancia will be lost, meaning any future development that would come after this, should have come, would have to go through the same public process and public approvals. In addition to a more manageable scale of development, Timber Run would provide the Lamont Park District with a new finished park inside the subdivision. 28 acres are proposed to being donated to the village. There's a potential future connection to township trails. Schools, fire district, and the village will receive the full impact fees. The entrance is in the location approved for Vistancia. The village did hire a independent traffic engineer, Callaway, to evaluate that entrance. And although traffic control wasn't recommended for Vistancia, Lamont Police Department, Public Works, and village staff thought a traffic control was appropriate there. So Timber Run would have a full four-way stop sign at the access to address the concerns of residents along Timberline. Additionally, the proposed architectural standards will run with the land. That means Taylor Morrison and any other builder who would build there, and any future homeowner would be required to meet the architectural standards that are proposed in the PUD. Significantly, there were no deviations to bulk standards. There were no deviations to setbacks and lot area, and that's in thanks to the R5A zoning, which the village board created last year. So the first ordinance would ask to rezone the R4 property to R5A.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on that?
This is not tying it specifically to this development, this rezoning, right?
Correct.
So this would be a general, even if the property sold, this would stay R5A, which is a more dense development than R4, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And, oh, go ahead.
Sorry,
Dave, I'm
and one other thing, this is not for the entire property that was previously known as Vistancia. It's just for the property that they're building the subdivision on, right? So there was the stuff that was west as well as south that was not part of this development, that is not part of this rezoning, correct?
Correct, yeah, just the area that where Taylor Morrison is the contract purchaser, that would be the R5.
Okay. And then for the rest of the property, remains R4 and it doesn't get terminated, right?
Correct,
And
yeah, it
state-
remains in the village, R4 and R5. There are some portions near the, near the township property, closer to, or I'm sorry, near along 355, that were zoned R5, the attached single family.
All right, thank you.
To Dave's point, but this will replace the 270 unit,
No,
or is that,
that's the rescinding ordinance
got
later.
it, got it, got it, got it, okay, all right.
But yes, to Dave's point, should that pass, the zoning would remain in place, but the site plan and the subdivision plans that were approved as part of that PUD would go away, essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
So because we're not tying this to the actual PUD, this rezoning, this stays the zoning in perpetuity, irrelevant to what happens here.
Or until somebody else seeks to do something with it.
But whoever does is allowed to do it in a 5A zoning, not in a 4 zoning,
Correct.
right? So that's a big difference, because if this passes and the development doesn't pass, then this property still gets rezoned 5A.
Well,
Go ahead.
they wouldn't,
Just if I may, the ordinance for the rezoning, which we're discussing at the moment, does have language in section 3 under specific condition. The map amendment, the rezoning, is conditioned on development being in substantial compliance with the preliminary plat of subdivision provided in Exhibit B, and we attached the Exhibit B plat of subdivision that's being proposed. So we did word the rezoning ordinance to be, again, contingent on substantial compliance with that plat.
With the plat,
Yes. We put that
not
in.
necessarily with the building
To avoid
standards, right?
a situation
With-
that we had previously of rezoning property not contingent on a plat.
Dave, let me ask a different question, which might help answer what you're driving at, I think. Mike, maybe you can help on this. The PUD itself, if the builder does not proceed, the property is rezoned of R5A. Is the PUD in existence forever, or would the PUD expire as it relates to this builder? So now you have R5A property, however, a new builder would need to come forward with a new PUD.
My understanding, and when you passed the PUD, I didn't, obviously I don't
Right.
have that in front of me and haven't seen it, but that's
Right.
conditioned on anything, but if you pass that, my understanding is that would still be in existence.
And I also add the reason Taylor Morrison is proposing the PUD is because we do have language in our code, given the size and acres and the number of units, a PUD is required.
I understand that. That's my
No, but
point.
my-
So if they don't move forward and sell the property, would the new developer need to come forward with a new PUD? Because it is over 20 acres.
They would either need to comply with this PUD or a new PUD.
Hey,
Or
Mark.
apply for a new PUD.
Question, if the rezoning is passed and the PUD fails, what happens to the rezoning? Does it stay 5A or because you said it's contingent? Or, I don't know, maybe it's a question for you, Mike, I don't know.
It stays 5A. It's just contingent on the,
Changing the map, that would be, to me, that's a permanent change until you change it again.
Yeah.
But with the language that's read in the ordinance, it does sound like it makes it conditional, but to me, and we can draft that or study that before tonight, but if you're changing the map, to me, that's a change, and you have to change it again if you're gonna make it something else.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
if you're gonna, so, I get that. This is, what we're saying here is, we're changing the zoning with the plat as part that's being submitted. So somebody else can come in and ignore the PUD. They've already got the zoning with the plat that's coming in. That's what we're doing by separating these two.
But again, given the size of the property,
You need a
the
PUD.
But-
code requires them to do a PUD.
I understand that, but the difference is we have an R4 to an R5, so they're asking for a higher density from an R4 to an R5, which gives us the ability to negotiate with the builder on what they're building on. If we've already got an R5A, then we don't have to negotiate anymore. We don't have that negotiation leverage. We lose that negotiation leverage because we're giving up something to them for them giving
You
something
need
to
a
us.
PUD though.
But the PUD is for, the difference is the PUD is for an R5A. This is an R4. So R4 is a less dense development. So we're going in and giving them the ability to have a higher density as part of our negotiation when we did our PUD, right? But if we go in and we have this as an R5A and they got a plat and they got to abide by that plat, then they can go in and abide by our laws, our rules, and we're at risk if we don't like what's in the grid that they're proposing for the development. So we are at risk. We have a better leverage position right now to negotiate for a PUD as an R4 than we do as an R5A.
All right, put it another way, right now, there's a PUD that's been approved, correct?
Correct.
There's a PUD that's been approved with exceptions to R4 code, correct?
R4 and R5, yes.
R5, and it's as dense, if not more dense, than R5A. Is that correct?
No, that's not necessarily correct. The
It
Vistensi,
had exceptions to I thought the side yard as well as the rear and front yard setbacks.
but the
did it not?
Vistancia development isn't necessarily more dense than what we're proposing here. If you look at the section in the housing, that's at the section that they're currently proposing on, those lots were bigger. That density in this section of it was less dense than it is in this setup. Where we added that density was the part that's not included in this subdivision, which is the west side of the development. Because those lots along Timberline were bigger lots than the proposed
There were
lots right now.
setbacks, were there not setbacks on the Timberline side? I thought there was, I mean, that's why I thought we got here, was because these guys are not looking for any type of exceptions. There were exceptions
They're not looking for
on
exceptions.
R4 exceptions on
Yes.
Timberline.
Correct. They aren't looking for exceptions in R5A, but there were exceptions in
R5A
R4.
eliminates the exceptions. of
R5A eliminated the exceptions, yes.
Yeah, but you're saying, hey, if we change it from R4 to R5A, we're losing our leverage. Our leverage is that we've already proved R4 with exceptions, so with as dense,
But this area is more dense than it was going to be, is what I'm saying. So all I'm saying, my point is that depending, when you're voting on this matter, consider what you're approving in the next 3 votes. That's the point that I'm making. Because this vote, if this passes and everything else fails, that limits our ability to negotiate with someone in the future. That's the point that I'm making here.
If-
I'm not saying to vote yes or no, I'm saying
but
be
they need a
conscious of your other
PUD
votes.
though, correct?
They need a PUD, but they're already zoned R5A, so we lose our leverage.
No, if they still, yeah, I think because of the acres or number of units, those are 2 triggers for PUD. So anybody seeking to develop with that site plan's there as an exhibit, but it's not approved. So you would still have to come back through PUD. The PUD is not for R5A, which is why that's a separate ordinance. The PUD is for the special use, which is what a planned development is. Which is why they're on 2 separate ordinances.
Right. I mean,
I believe anything would have to come back as a PUD.
I'm not saying it's not. What I'm saying is, from a negotiation to get more stringent standards, like brick isn't a standard in our code, right? Masonry?
It is an option, it's a
It's an option, but it's not a standard. So for us to negotiate on some of those things that aren't standards in our code, we have the ability to increase the density in this part of the subdivision. By voting yes on this and voting no to anything else, we in essence potentially lose some of our flexibility in negotiating because it's already zoned R5A.
We could also, propose enhancements to the architecture standards moving forward. Actually, we would
On
recommend a
R5A?
look at enhancing.
Yeah, I mean, we could
So
always change
You
R5A.
wouldn't have to worry about leverage, it would be
Before we
required.
do that, someone else could come in and say, hey, I want to do this. It's already zoned R5A. This is your standard in R5A. And now we are tied to having to do what we meet in the
Got
standards.
it. No, I hear you. I hear you. Okay, any other comments or
I
questions?
have a question. Since I didn't receive my agenda till just before the meeting, we were discussing brick before. Have we ever come to any decision on the amount of brick?
Yeah, you want to go? Yeah, we sent something out to the group this weekend on the again. There's not a requirement for brick in the code. It's an option, but when Taylor Morrison has committed to is an architectural standard that will be included in the PUD that will include a minimum masonry component on every unit in the subdivision to include a front, again at a minimum, a front masonry wainscot with a 2 or 3 foot wrap on each side. So there is a masonry component on every unit in the subdivision.
We did look at full wrap on masonry, and because of the elevations and walkouts and et cetera, it was gonna be, a walkout basement already adds 20 grand to the value of a home, so, and you'd be wrapping brick around the front of it, so we thought wrapping brick around the front of it for all of them, doing that return on all of them was sort of appropriate because of the variation in the rear elevations.
You think it would be appropriate to revisit that brick standard and maybe put a percentage in the future?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and I think we talked about it at the last meeting about potentially hiring a consultant to kind of look at what other towns are doing. I mean, everything that comes in Lamont is essentially either an annexation agreement or a PUD or both. So it's just been these negotiations, every single development, and they're over and above our code. The R5A district did not change that. It resolved one issue where every development coming in wasn't meeting the R4A guidelines on side yard and lot size, so everything was a deviation. The R5A just brought a zoning a little bit more market, a little bit closer to the market, I should say, on what is being built out there. 10-foot side yards, lot size, I think the minimum is 10,000 versus the 12.5. So I think that's step one. If this board wants to look at mandatory brick components, masonry components, then we can look at that. We'd have to look at the whole town. Again, there's a lot of infill projects where There is not masonry
Well, I
included with
understand
the
if somebody's
component.
building a Victorian, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but this is, I think that we have to look at the whole town as well, but I think we're willing to have that workshop. Yeah, but I think the developer has been, they get it. I mean, they understand that the brick was a key component of the last 2 or 3 committee of the holes that we've had on it, and they've been willing to include as a base package for all of their home buyers a minimum requirement on the masonry component. Again, they could go more. We've seen that in Kettering where there's a minimum component, but home buyers have gone more. They've put it on one side versus the other, and again, a little bit more of a market-driven approach, but still having those standards, those minimum standards that everyone is comfortable with.
So can you repeat the minimum again?
So the minimum.
The minimum there.
Yeah, the minimum will be on every home, including the duplexes, will be a first floor wainscot element that'll be essentially up to almost the window well. So almost if you look at the moldings here in Village Hall, kind of that high. So every home will have the minimum masonry component. And what we talked about, you've seen some towns do it where it stops right at the front facade. We thought it'd be a better product to have them wrap it around a little bit. Again, we looked at, if you look at some of the site plans on the project, I mean, I would say 60% of the homes are walkouts or dropouts. I mean, there's a lot of elevation on the site. Again, to wrap them completely with brick, I think that the developer and even the village too, we were concerned with missing the sweet spot on pricing. We want this development to succeed, and if the buyers are telling them that this is what they want, I mean, to add cost for a component on the back of the homes, which no one's going to see, but their family in many areas. Again, this is not, Kettering's out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a cornfield, or fields, I should say. This is going to be a little bit of a different subdivision, and I think it's going to be an attractive product, but everyone's got their own taste. I certainly understand that.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this at various public meetings, that this development, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's going to have a sales price close to $500,000, correct? That, to me, is bringing value to the village. I'm a free market person. As I said over and over, I'm not here to dictate what type of color your house should be, what type of mortar you want on your brick. Do you want brick or not brick? I'm concerned about the value of the houses being brought in. And, overall at that, I don't know what the proper price level, but I know $500,000 is a pretty good price level. And I think the market should dictate a very, very nice home. I mean, we've seen that, even in the Kettering. I know people have their tastes. People look at different subdivisions. I personally am concerned about bringing value to the village. And, that's where I'm coming from here. And to the point of, do we need brick or not brick? Ron, I hear you. We can talk about that. It's, you go into Hinsdale. Is Hinsdale, a highfalutin town, a lowfalutin town? I don't know, but people are making changes, and I know my house is brick. I always wanted brick, but 30 years, 30 people 30 years younger, 20 years younger, that might not be the case. So again, we'll address that, down the road. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Any other comments?
What we're proposing for the wainscot is a maximum of 24 inches, right? That's what the requirement is. So it's not
The side.
On the side, it's not a 3 foot, it's a 2 foot. So it's not
2
the
foot.
height that we have on this ledge.
No, that's on the side.
On the
That's a
sides.
wrap.
Wraparound is
The wraparound.
24
Goes
on the
inches.
side.
That's what he's
It
talking
would go up at least to, let's say, the window.
They usually go
sill.
up to the windowsill.
Yeah.
24 inches.
Yeah, that was the return on the round,
Yeah, on
around the
sides,
side.
it's 24 inches. It's not
It's not
necessarily up to
I think
the
it's,
window.
what they
No,
want to do is like
we're
24
talking,
inches to 36
you're
inches
confusing
behind.
height with the width.
Yeah,
Two different
Depth.
things.
it's more the
What they're
wraparound.
talking about,
They wrap
instead
it
of
2
the
to 3
front
feet.
just being masonry, meeting at the corner, where the siding would be on the side,
Yeah.
100%, the brick would wrap around the corner and go back 18 to 24 inches.
So it's not going all the way around the sides, it's only going to 24 inches.
Right.
Right.
So it doesn't just.
So it's not a three-side masonry, it's a one-sided masonry with just a
a
lip
ramp,
on the
right.
The
side.
return, yes.
With the rip.
That's what they're talking about.
And that's all including the duplexes.
Correct.
What we need to do is go to Ketterington and the houses that have done the upgrades, do a comparison
Yeah.
and just see what have, people have taken those options.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Instead of saying
Yeah.
that no one's gonna take them,
Yeah, they have, a sales manager that's in there 5 days a week, and, I'm sure Barb there would be more than happy to walk people through what's being purchased and optioned. And obviously, we keep track of it as well, and spreadsheets and whatnot as permits come in.
And Jason, they're also subject to our anti-monotony codes. I mean, we're concerned a little bit about monotony in the subdivision. We have a pretty stringent anti-monotony standard, which we just updated in the R5A for duplex units. They've committed to 360-degree architecture, some on the rears of the home, so it's not a flat look home. They have to, minimum, as part of the base package, you have to choose one feature that creates kind of a pop-out. So it's more than just, I know we always talk aesthetics about being brick only. There's a lot more to a home than masonry to make it look attractive.
All right, so this is the first subdivision, though, that we're gonna approve without a minimum requirement of masonry on any home, or on a four-side home. Even Kettering, which was our lowest approved masonry subdivision, had a minimum number of homes that required 4 sides of masonry.
No, yes, that's not true, Mark. Montefiore doesn't require 4-sided masonry.
For some of the homes are allowed to not. There's a percentage requirement.
That's exactly the point I'm making. This is 0%. We haven't approved any subdivisions with 0% requirement on, right? Montefiore is more than 0% of the homes having to have 4 sides wrapped.
The
That's
code
right.
would
Every
allow-
townhouse has got at least first floor.
The distinction I was trying to make was Montefiore has masonry requirements, where some of the homes can be constructed without any masonry, whereas this proposal, all the homes have at least some masonry.
This proposal has a 3-foot masonry wall in the front of every house.
Would exceed.
What I'm saying is that we don't have any subdivision that has 0% of the homes without a 360 masonry requirement. We haven't had, right? Montefiore has homes that have a requirement that have masonry on all 4 sides. Kettering has a requirement of masonry on all 4 sides for a percentage of their homes.
Certain
This
key
is-
lots, yeah.
What'd you say?
Certain key lots, correct.
What I'm saying is a percentage of the homes in those subdivisions require 4 sides of masonry. This is the first subdivision that we're approving that doesn't have masonry requirement, not even on 10% of the homes, not 5% of the homes. 0% of the homes, are we requiring masonry on 4 sides? This is the first subdivision that we're doing that to. And not only are we doing that, we're going in and doing it in such a way that we're not even tying this to the builder, which we agree that this is a good builder. We're not tying it to the builder doing it. We're saying that we're gonna approve this, and then if the builder chooses to sell those lots to anyone else they wanna sell it to, they can. And as long as that person meets our minimum building standard, we're okay with it, or meets the one on this document.
Well, I mean, other Kettering sold lots to Beechin and Dill. Montefiore sells lots to Fifth Avenue. They sold all of the townhomes, but all of those are being built in accordance with the standards from those approved PUDs.
I agree.
So,
And Beecham and Dill went in and put 100% brick on, they've got brick on 4 sides of their house, at least 50%, and they sold that subdivision out fast, right?
very fast.
So, that's kind of the point I'm making here. We are going, in a time where we've got development going all around this town, we're going into a lesser standard on our homes when we don't need to do that.
I don't think it's a lesser standard.
Well, I think brick is a higher quality product than LP.
There's no vinyl siding in any of these homes.
I think,
This is probably the first development that we have 0 vinyl siding on.
I think brick is a higher quality than LP.
I beg to disagree.
It's not higher quality?
No.
You can damage LP a lot easier than you can damage brick, right? So that means that quality-wise, it's going to be higher quality,
I disagree.
so.
All right, any
my
other
opinion.
new comments or questions?
I have one other comment too, and I also think that the The privacy wall is something that they put up, and I understand and I appreciate the purpose of the privacy wall is to block the backside of those homes that are along Timberline. But I guess my opinion is, I would prefer to hear from those homeowners to see if they'd rather a privacy wall. Because I think that's an intrusive wall that we're putting up for those homeowners on Timberline. I personally, when I look in the different areas, I think having that type of privacy wall right in the back of your home when you have houses behind it, I think is intrusive. So I think that's a mistake that we're making by forcing them to put a privacy wall up.
Did you talk to any of those homeowners?
No, I'm saying we should, yeah, that's my opinion on the privacy wall, but I think we should talk to the homeowners, because would they rather a privacy wall or not? Would be my question, and I know we didn't get an opportunity to do that, but, you know, I think that is one where I would base it off of what those homeowners on that street would prefer.
You mean not having one, or?
Yeah, not having one, yeah, I would, for me personally, I'd rather not have a privacy wall all the way down my backyard and then my neighbor's yards. You know, if it's an open, and there's not a lot of fences on that street there right
Yeah.
now, it's open.
I mean, we could tidy that up at final, and then if the majority of the homeowners don't want it, then, you know, we don't have to put it in. I think the developer thought and that perhaps it would be welcomed. People don't want to look at the back of another home, but if that's not the case, then we'll.
Yeah, I
doesn't
think we
have to be a
did it
requirement.
because we're not putting brick on the back of those homes. So, okay, that's all I have. Thanks.
Okay, any other questions or comments beyond that? All right, roll call, please.
McClafferty?
Yes.
Snagowski?
Yes.
Pardon me?
Yes.
Okay. Stapleton?
Yes.
Kittredge?
Yes.
Kwasniewski?
Yes.
Maher?
No.
Okay. The next ordinance, oh, you're supposed to say motion passed.
Okay, motion approved.
Okay. I went ahead of you. Ordinance O-4419, if passed this evening, is granting a special use for preliminary planned unit development, a PUD, and a plat for 42-unit detached, single-family, and 52-unit attached, single-family residential subdivision located at 100 West New Avenue and 40 Timberline Drive.
Okay, need a motion.
So moved?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee McClafferty, seconded by trustee Kwasniewski. Jason, anything else to add?
No, I believe the discussion hit all the points.
With the one, because this is specific to the subdivision and not the zoning, one thing we spent a lot of time on, and you know, this is heard loud and clear, and that's why we addressed it, was the stop sign and the traffic flow. Can you just expand on that, what we went through, what we've discussed? Because I think it's important. I know specifically, you know, the homeowner closest there, obviously, that, you know, I would be concerned as well. Can you walk through the analytics and review?
Yeah, the initial submittal allowed for the applicant to use the Vistancia traffic study for the 270 homes. Following the Planning and Zoning Commission, we found that to be insufficient. So we asked the applicant to have their engineer prepare a new exhibit for that entrance, for us, the village, to hire an independent traffic engineer to evaluate. So this is now 3 traffic engineers that have looked at this entrance. So the traffic volumes didn't warrant a stop sign. The initial recommendation was to do some traffic calming through striping and reflective markers in the center line of the road. But talking with staff, including Chief Maytom, Public Works, our village engineer, we went back to KLOA, and in order to address some sightline issues, we said, let's have folks stop here and make sure it's as safe as possible. So they prepared an exhibit for the village that showed where the stop bars would be, crosswalks, stop signs, warning signs, striping, there's reflective markers. So all of that was prepared by our traffic engineer that we hired. We handed that over to Taylor Morrison and said, as part of any proposed PUD, we would have to see this proposed intersection treated with a 4-way stop in this manner.
Okay, great. Any, and again, just want to make sure all the homeowners around Timberline, and hey, we understand, we are very conscious of, you know, hey, yeah, everyone wants something done until it's in their backyard, and you know, that is, you know, sometimes, you know, it's not the ideal situation, and we hear that. What we're trying to do is make it as best as it can be. Right now, there's 270 unit PUD out there, right? I mean, this would basically rescind that development. Is it perfect? No, but then again, I don't think anything's perfect. But again, I just want to make sure, on behalf of the entire board, we hear what you're saying. And, you know, again, we're trying to hope to make this as best as it could be. So, any other comments on that, questions? All right, roll call, please.
McClafferty,
Yes.
Snagowski,
Yes.
Stapleton,
Yes.
Kittredge,
Yes.
Kwasniewski,
Yes.
Maher.
No.
Okay, motion approved.
The next ordinance, if passed, would be O-45-19, and this is approving a donation agreement with the ESBI Vermont Limited.
Okay, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by trustee McClafferty, seconded by trustee Kwasniewski. George?
Yeah, I'll take that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As Jason mentioned, there's 6 or 7 ordinances regarding the Timber Run subdivision. Typically, what everyone thinks about is the zoning, the plan unit development. That's all the exciting details of a development. But there are other ordinances that have to go into play for this development to proceed forward. I'll kind of name the 4 of them that are coming up and then just expand upon the donation agreement and then move forward from there. But the 4 items on the agenda, the next 4 items include a development or a donation agreement, a development agreement, and then, as the mayor mentioned, while the PUD effectively or practically rescinds the current annexation agreement and PUD, formal ordinances are needed to rescind the remaining portions of Vistancia. But first on the donation agreement, and when this came through to the village, we discussed this a little bit at the committee of the whole. For development review, there's a 28-acre parcel right in the middle of the development that separates the new Taylor Morrison development with the rest of Vistancia to the west. About 28 acres, a portion of it potentially could be developable, but the majority of it, there's a large ravine down the middle of it. The challenge is to develop. The developer is looking to donate that to the village. And when we talk about the donation, in the village being in control of the development or the donation piece, again, it very well could be open space moving forward. It's a tough spot to develop. It could be developable, or a portion of it could be developed in the future. By the village taking donation of the property, we'll have control over it going forward. So this board or future boards, 10, 15 years from now, can decide whether or not to connect it to Timber Run or to leave it as open space. But that's just the agreement right now is to donate the parcel to the village, and no immediate plans for it, but the village will take ownership after the closings on the remaining properties after a thorough legal review by our legal staff. But that's the first item up for.
And just to reiterate what George said, I've received several questions like, hey, what's going in there next, or what's the next plan? There are no plans for it, okay? If there were probably good plans, I'm not going to talk on behalf of the people donating 28 acres. They wouldn't be donating 28 acres if they thought there was something good that could go on there. Again, we've talked to the township about this. You know, we want the village to be able to control that in case there is future development opportunities. There are none as of right now. I don't foresee any in the foreseeable future. I think we wouldn't be doing our jobs as village elected officials not to take control of that land. Again, it gives the village the option, and it will be obviously you know, open space for the foreseeable future. We did ask the developers to put in an open lot in case, hey, down the road, if there is some special or dynamic opportunity, we have that option, okay? But right now, there's nothing, you know, on deck for it. I'm not gonna be, you know, a forecaster, but I don't foresee anything years, if not, a decade or more down the road. But again, we want to have control of that in case there is, an opportunity down the road. Another board, might think, us later on. I don't know, but again, that's the reason for it. I've received several, questions and comments on that. Again, that's where, we're coming from. So any other comments on that? Okay, let's proceed. Roll call, please.
McClafferty?
Yes.
Snagowski?
Yes.
Stapleton?
Yes.
Kittredge?
Yes.
Kwasniewski?
Yes.
Maher?
Okay, motion approved.
The next ordinance to pass this evening would be O-46-19, and this is approving a development agreement with Taylor Morrison of Illinois Incorporated.
Okay, need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by trustee McClafferty, seconded by trustee Kwasniewski. George, you want to?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and there's been some minor changes to the document, but I want to go through them. But I do want to give a little context. Anytime there's development in the village or any town, there are multiple documents or policy documents, codes that govern that development. We have our Unified Development Ordinance, which outlines several requirements for any type of development. You have what we went through tonight, the plan unit development, which may outline some deviations potentially from that UDO, or additional standards, as we had with the PUD here tonight, that get attached to the PUD. Anything zoning related, entitlement related, typically goes into the PUD. What we also often have is an annexation agreement. Over the years, the majority of development in town, for definitely larger tracts of land, have come by way of annexation. So when you have an annexation when you have a property annex, you're able to enter into an annexation agreement, and you're able to, have further either additions to the development potentially. You can have further, standards that get added to the development. But oftentimes, what the annexation agreement does is it outlines the terms of the land going forward. Because this property, as we talked about, is already annexed into the village does not have the ability to enter into an annexation agreement, but we call it a development agreement. Essentially, they're one and the same. They run with the land for 20 years, and they outline some of the areas of the development that don't get picked up on a PUD. For example, areas responsibilities of the homeowners association, impact fees that may be different than what the UDO allows or calls for. So a lot of different items that are kind of the catch-all document, so further protection for the village. Couple of these were in your packet, but there were a couple changes. If you go to page 5,
Here you guys go.
so page 4, lines 69 through 81. Again, this just references the existing annexation agreement as being void. We would just wanted just further clarification that agreement is null and void going forward. Section 2.1 deals with the zoning. Again, it's consistent with the PUD, but just having further protections on the zoning of the development. Page 5 at the top, just more clarification on the park area. Again, the Lamont Park District will be getting a fully built-out park as this development, and this just outlines that takes its place of paying cash for the park. They're going to give land, and they're going to develop the park out in lieu of that cash.
What line number?
That would be on page 5, line 91 and 92.
Yeah. Our numbers don't.
Yeah.
Members
I
got
got
matched up.
line 95.
Okay, my apologies, but that's under zoning and variations under the Park District section. Again,
Here, just go back, because when they added it, the lines changed. So
The numbers are the same though, right?
install.
Correct.
So
No.
install.
I don't think so. All zoning variances depicted on the development plans. It's 87, 86, and 87, I think.
and again, I can, just further clarification, the attorneys talked today just to clarify these
90.
items. Page 7, under zoning and variations, again, just that the developer will submit a letter of credit to secure all the improvements. Again, these are just referencing the Unified Development Ordinance. Any development requires a letter of credit, but just good to put that in there as well. And then clarification on the village fees. It was a little bit unclear. I mean, the developer is going to be required to comply with the UDO and the fee ordinance. There's no deviations in those areas. So that's made clear in section 5.1.
Line 181
Yeah, 181 goes to,
On our
to 190.
yeah.
top of page 9.
Again, nothing material, just further clarification, so there's no, again, these agreements, you don't want any ambiguity going forward. Future staffs, boards will have to govern over the document, but those are just some of the minor changes that we deem to be minor from a legal standpoint that we'd ask for approval so we can finalize those provisions with the developer. And I could send those out to you again in a final copy. Give the mayor and I authorization to execute with those changes with the village attorney. Just some minor changes to that development agreement.
So again, minor changes.
Don't deal with zoning. They don't deal adding or deleting any provisions of architecture. It's just restating some of the areas of the Unified Development Ordinance. Letter of credits will be required, and then the fees will be paid according to the UDO.
George, I can verify, we
Yeah.
did talk to you earlier, Mike Stillman and I, and we can adopt the agreement conditional on your administrators or the mayor's and village attorney's final review.
Okay.
So we'll make it conditional upon the board's review.
Yeah.
Everyone on the board.
No. Well, I don't know if you wanna do, that's not what he said. We can okay it as
Give
a
it to the-
board, allowing you to make the final changes
Yeah.
without it coming back to us.
No, but what he's saying is it can, we could,
We don't wanna have it come back to us.
No.
Got
Give-
You're adopting the agreement in the board, with the understanding of the board, assuming they vote for the motion, that the village administrator or the mayor or the village attorney will give it a final look and make sure that
Okay.
the changes Jordan.
Right.
Got it.
And-
Are in the agreement.
Correct, and then just one thing to follow up on a committee, the whole discussion we had, this is not a change, this was in the packet, but the need for the provision for a special service area, if needed, was put into, that's the type of provision that goes into this agreement. Again, there's many retaining walls, ponds, that are gonna be the HOA's responsibility moving forward. We would have the teeth via this agreement to enact a special service area, a special taxing area in order to maintain those areas if the HOA were to fail. So those are
9.1.
9.1, correct.
Still, nothing's been agreed upon what type of retaining wall, correct?
That's a good question. On the,
There's just preliminary engineering, and you'll see it in final.
you'll see it at final.
But we
Yeah.
can still make changes to that if we don't.
Yeah, you'll come back for final PUD approval, and that'll have the final engineering.
Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
any other questions, comments? Okay, roll call.
Clafferty,
Yes.
Snagowski,
Yes.
Stapleton,
Yes.
Kittredge,
Yes.
Kwasniewski,
Yes.
Maher.
No.
Okay, motion approved.
Okay, the next ordinance, if passed this evening, would be O-47-19. And this is rescinding prior ordinance O-28-17, an ordinance authorizing the execution of an annexation agreement for 102.53 acres located north of 127th Street and east of Interstate I-355 in Lamont.
Okay, need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a
Well, let me
motion.
make that conditional, that it's the last time I hear the word Vistanza.
Didn't
The
really,
next one.
God, I'm so sick of it.
didn't really fit with Lamont.
A
you
motion
second
by
it?
trustee Snagowski, seconded by
Okay.
trustee Kittredge. Okay, George?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we talked about it enough, but, you know, the original annexation agreement for the previous development, I won't use the term anymore, trustee Stangowski, actually had language in there where the village had a time period, or once it passed, if the developer hadn't closed on all the property, the village could rescind the agreement. So this officially will rescind the annexation agreement, which is why a development agreement was needed. We definitely talked about from a legal standpoint, this is the preferred route versus amending the annexation agreement. Again, there's so many terms in there that are related to Pulte homes, and it's just cleaner to start fresh with a development agreement.
Well, let me ask you then, does the new one have the same language in that agreement?
That if they don't close,
Yeah. so that it expires just like this one did, which is why we're rescinding it.
That could be put in, I guess.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, it does not
we
have
thought it
that
was a
in
good
there.
idea.
Yeah,
Here we are doing it. We should be consistent and do it again then.
yeah, I think, I know one of the reasons why I think that was put in the past was that the developer at the time hadn't had any, really didn't have any signatures or even, they were signing an annexation agreement on behalf of other people, which they were not getting any type of approvals from. I don't know if you could speak to that, Vince, or if it's not necessary and the reasons why. Yeah.
Missed the question. Vince Rosenbaum on behalf of Terry Morrison, director, but we have paragraph 10, we have that same language in this.
Okay, it is in there. Okay, good. Must have missed it.
That was my question. Is the same language in there? Thanks, Vince.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Vince.
That- Dave, I bring it up because it kind of ties somewhat back to one of your questions.
Okay, thanks, George. Any other questions, comments? All right, roll call, please.
Clafferty,
Yes.
Snagowski,
Yes.
Stapleton,
Yes.
Kittredge,
Yes.
Kwasniewski,
Yes.
Maher.
No.
Okay, motion approved.
Okay. The next item, if passed this evening, would be O-48-19, and this is rescinding prior ordinance O-30-17. And this is an ordinance of the Village Board of Trustees in the Village of Lamont, granting preliminary plan and plat of approval for a special use and a zoning map amendment.
Okay, need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee McClafferty, seconded by trustee Snagowski. George?
Not a whole lot to add. This is just the plan unit development that's being rescinded as well with, from the previous developer.
Okay, great. Questions, comments? Roll call.
Oops, it's on a different page. Okay, McClafferty,
Yes.
Snagowski.
Yes.
Stapleton,
Yes.
Kittredge,
Yes.
Kwasniewski,
Yes.
Maher.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay. The next item would be ordinance O-49-19, and this is a revision to the municipal code, chapter 10 dash, or not dash, I'm sorry, dot 32, and that's on vehicle licenses.
Okay, need a motion.
So moved.
All right, first by trustee Stapleton, seconded by trustee Snagowski. Chris, you want to take this?
Thank you, Mayor. This is our, one of our last steps. We began this process in February of 2019, where we, the board approved changing the program, the vehicle sticker program, from a 2-year program to a 1-year program. We've updated the ordinance. This is updating the municipal code portion of it. Additionally, we did add some verbiage where we can be sending out letters and basically for enforcement. So we don't only have to ticket, we can also send a letter as well. So we add some verbiage in as that, and this is basically one of the last steps. Letters are being, right now we're still reviewing the data. Letters will be sent out next week, and they'll be up and running July 1st. Next year, it'll be a lot earlier. It's just trying to get the whole program up and running.
So this is the letters for,
This is the letters for anybody that has a vehicle that is with the state, that is registered to Lamont per the state of Illinois.
okay, and again, when we went through the home rule discussion, the one thing, at least shocking for me, is that people like the vehicle sticker and they like paying for it, which we did not originally think that was the case. But what we did find out are that the people that do pay for it obviously don't like it when their neighbor is not paying for it. And we've not had the system or the infrastructure to be able to look at, okay, hey, there's a registered vehicle in town, why are we not getting a vehicle sticker? But now we have that capability with our third party. So what we're doing is we're trying to make it fair for everyone, and to utilize the technology that we have so that everyone pays their fair share. So, any other comments on that?
No, and I think we talked about the list is going to come from the Illinois Secretary of State, and so if you receive a letter and there is an error, or if you feel like you've already sold a vehicle or scrapped a vehicle, you can bring that letter in with proof that you have sold your vehicle, and we'll get that updated in our database. So sometimes there's a lag in the system, but please work with staff, give Chris a call, give the finance department a call. We're hoping to do a little bit more online, so you don't have to come down to Village Hall, but trying to make it as easy as possible for the program.
Yes, the letter will state if there's any issues, what the process is. Because like you said, the process can be online, or they can also come and,
Okay.
and remedy it here as well.
And just to reiterate the communication we've had before, we're moving to an annual basis for the vehicle sticker. That's another thing we heard loud and clear. And again, we have the ability to utilize technology. We don't want to be, Big Brother, but, this is a fair type of thing, and we heard it loud and clear from all the residents. So thanks, Chris. All right, any other comments on that?
I got one more question.
Yes.
For Chris. If you do get a comment in, or somebody found something they think is an error, and they send the comment in, like you said, who vets that? Is that by the third party, or is that by us?
If it's done online, it will be on the third party, and then they send us, the database they have is phenomenal,
Right.
Way better than what we have. So they will update the database accordingly, and then we share that database, so.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, Rick. So will they be dealing with the third party first, or will
If they
they?
do it online, they'll just be dealing it with online. There'll be fields where they can say they changed the vehicle, and there'll be fields on there. If they come into us, we will do it online for them.
Okay, got it.
And there's no cost if they come in by us, additional cost if they come and we do it for them, or if they do it online. There's no cost to that, no
Okay.
cost doing it.
All right, and there'll be communication, right, George, coming out about again,
Correct.
we're
yeah.
moving from every other year, which this year would be it, right? But starting this year, we will be doing it on an annual basis. And we'll have that communication coming out on the village newsletter.
Correct. All of our communication channels on Facebook, on our website, but we have a newsletter going out here in the summertime, here in June. So, yeah, we'll include it in all different communications. Channel 6, any way to get the word out. But again, they will get the letter, which is good. In the past, I know people can't keep up with everything we have going on our communication channels. So, in the past, they weren't getting a letter, and sometimes there were complaints and didn't know they had to purchase a sticker. Now you will get a letter. Just hope it residents read it and react accordingly. So.
Okay, thanks, Chris. That's all,
I
okay.
just have one question
Yep.
for it. So on enforcement, do we have the ability to mail tickets out on enforcement, or?
Chief, you want to?
As part of this process, we've modified the enforcement on that. So the previous ordinance had to be displayed, so now it's a failure to purchase or display.
And then that will allow us, would we have to have send someone to the house, or can we mail a
No,
ticket to them?
It'll be, the second notice of the failure to pay will be essentially a ticket notice.
Okay.
And notification of what due process is to come to adjudication.
And then a fine associated with that, obviously, so, great, okay, good.
All right, thanks,
But
Chief.
hypothetically speaking, let's say I bought a car for my daughter, and she went to college and was there for 3 years, but the car's registered here. How does that work? Does she still need a sticker?
If it's
Yep.
registered here,
You
it would,
need a
she
sticker.
would need a village sticker, and that's always read away.
But I mean, but you don't know that.
They
You know what I'm
do.
saying? But now they will.
No, they
Now
will.
they
do
will.
now. I mean, they can run your license plate if they see the car.
She's not here. Her car's
But
No, we'll know.
it's
in the-
in a
registered.
whole other state.
It follows the same process like your plate does as well, because I know I mail my son, he's in college, and I mail my son his sticker
So
for the plate.
but they will now be able, because before, I mean, I'll say,
Yes,
I mean,
unless they come.
right, they
Unless
have
they
to-
come.
exactly. But now, because of this system,
Correct,
we can button that up and get that done.
correct.
Got it.
She's got to come home from Kentucky to do her commissions, her licenses.
Anyone else? Okay, roll call, please.
McClafferty?
Yes.
Snagowski?
Yes.
Stapleton?
Yes.
Kittredge?
Yes.
Kwasniewski?
Yes.
Maher?
Yes.
Okay, motion approved.
The next item would be an ordinance O-50-19, and this is amending the budget for the fiscal year 18 through 19 for the village of Lamont.
Okay, need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by trustee Snagowski, seconded by trustee McClafferty. Chris or You taking this one as well?
Yes, okay, so on June 3rd, we discussed at the Committee of the Whole this budget amendment. We did discuss, and I've added to that, moving funds to the police pension fund for a one-time revenue that we received from an escrow. So we moved $450,000 from the general fund over to the pension fund. The escrow that we received, the one-time funds we received was $480,000, so it kind of matches up. Additionally, we did send one more month of escrow over to the health fund, so we have 2 months, which is practice of 60 days is a common practice of expenditures to have as a reserve, so we moved that as well. So this is amending the budget, and then we have a couple other resolutions about some loans that we need to for cash flow purposes, and then also for the additional funding into the police pension fund.
Okay, and again, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, this is more accounting change,
Correct. This is
it's not any net, it's movement okay. All right, any other questions, comments? Roll call, please.
McClafferty?
Yes.
Snagowski?
Yes.
Stapleton?
Yes.
Kittredge?
Yes.
Kwasniewski?
Yes.
Maher?
Yes.
Motion approved.
The next item is a resolution. We're going to get into those now. Resolution R-49-19, and this is accepting the IDOT documentation review number 59 of motor fuel tax funds received and disbursed by the Village of Lamont for the period of January 1, 2018 to December 31st, 2018.
Okay, motion.
So moved. Second.
Okay, trustee Snagowski, seconded by trustee Kwasniewski. Any comments, questions? Roll call.
McClafferty?
Yes.
Snagowski?
Yes.
Stapleton?
Yes.
Kittredge?
Yes.
Kwasniewski?
Yes.
Maher?
Yes.
Okay, motion approved.
The next resolution would be R-50-19, and this is authorizing a loan from the general fund to the TOD TIF fund.
Okay, need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by trustee Kwasniewski, seconded by trustee Maher. Chris, anything new to add on this?
Now, this is just a part of, like you said, accounting of each of the funds cannot be negative cash, and so basically moving the money over to the funds. The village as a whole still has those funds. It's basically, and once there's increment, the loan will be paid back.
Okay,
Yeah, because it's a newer TIF, obviously there's no increment yet. We're working for the first development in the TIF. We'll be able to flag these dollars, and when there is increment from the development, we'll be able to pay ourselves back. So just a starter fund.
great. Okay, roll call, please.
Let's see. McClafferty?
Yes.
Snagowski?
Yes.
Stapleton?
Yes.
Kittredge?
Yes.
Kwasniewski?
Yes.
Maher?
Yes.
Okay, motion approved.
The next resolution would be R-51, authorizing a loan from the general fund to the main Archer TIF fund.
Okay, need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by, I think I heard trustee Snagowski, seconded by trustee McClafferty. Chris, anything else?
It's additional, it's the Main and Archer TIF. A couple of meetings ago, you approved an agreement with Bluestone for the $150,000. This is to support that, and then actually any engineering fees, and once again, this will be paid as soon as we receive increment.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, questions, comments, roll call.
McClafferty?
Yes.
Snagowski?
Yes.
Stapleton?
Yes.
Kittredge?
Yes.
Kwasniewski?
Yes.
Maher?
Yes.
All right, motion approved.
The next resolution would be R-52-19, and this is authorizing additional funding to the police pension fund.
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right. First by trustee McClafferty, seconded by trustee Snagowski. Chris, all good?
Yeah, all good.
Okay. All right. Questions, comments, roll call.
McClafferty?
Yes.
Snagowski?
Yes.
Stapleton?
Yes.
Kittredge?
Yes.
Kwasniewski?
Yes.
Maher?
Yes.
All right, motion approved.
The next resolution would be R-53-19, approving an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Lamont and the Lamont Park District.
Need a motion.
So move.
Second.
Okay, motion by trustee Stapleton, seconded by trustee McClafferty. Ralph.
Thank you, Mayor. Now to the good stuff, right?
That's right, Ralph.
So,
Best for last.
For some time now, we've been in talks with the Lamont Park District about surfacing One Rod Road. which accesses our well house, well number 5, behind the Park District. They use that road as well for their maintenance garage. So the deal is basically, we're going to do the work, order the blacktop, do all the labor, and then charge the Park District back for the material, which is estimated to be around $65,000. And to do this agreement, we are roughly saving the taxpayers around $40,000 to pave that road.
Great.
So staff recommendation is to enter into the
Okay, thanks, Ralph. Any other comments?
I had a question.
Yeah,
Lindahl Grinder on 127th, has got anything to do with this one? Or is he just working at the school?
That's a
He's
school.
there now, just to let you know.
Yeah, okay. There's some drainage work we have to do. It's not just the grind.
Okay.
Did you say that your team's gonna be doing all the labor?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
and they're gonna pay for the material.
Okay, all right, roll call, please.
McClafferty?
Yes.
Snagowski?
Yes.
Stapleton?
Yes.
Kittredge?
Yes.
Kwasniewski?
Yes.
Maher?
Yes.
Okay, motion approved.
The next resolution would be R-54-19 if passed, and this is authorizing the purchase of hot mix asphalt and binder for Route 66 Asphalt Company in Orange Crush Limited.
Okay, need a motion.
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion by trustee Kwasniewski, seconded by trustee Maher. Who's taking this, Ralph?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this is the purchase of the blacktop. $65,000 will be for the One Rod Road project, and the following $45,000 will be for our pothole patching, alley work for the rest of this budget year.
Okay, thanks, Ralph. Any questions? Roll call?
McClafferty?
Yes.
Snagowski?
I'm gonna pass, to avoid any conflict or I forgot what I wanted to say.
Perceived?
Perceived appearance of a conflict. There we go. Thank you.
Okay. Stapleton?
Yes.
Kittredge?
Yes.
Kwasniewski?
Yes.
Maher?
Yes.
Okay, motion approved.
Okay,
Right,
the
thank you.
next one
Or-
is R-55-19,
And then
authorizing an award of contract for the 2019 parking lot seal coating.
Okay, I got it now. Okay, need a motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion by trustee McClafferty, seconded by trustee Kwasniewski. Ralph?
Thank you, Mayor. So 4 bids were received for the seal coating of our downtown parking lots. There's 10 of them in total. Low bidder was Patriot Seal Coating at $25,751.43, which is an outstanding deal. It's $10,000 under the engineer's estimate. We've worked with Patriot before, and staff recommendation is to award the contract to Patriot for $25,751.43.
Ralph, is this striping also?
This is striping also, yes. 2 coats of the seal and striping.
Okay, okay, roll call, please.
McClafferty?
Yes.
Snagowski?
Yes.
Stapleton?
Yes.
Kittredge?
Yes.
Kwasniewski?
Yes.
Maher?
Yes.
That's it.
Okay, motion approved. All right. Next up, moving on, village attorney report. Do we have anything, Mike? Okay, great. George?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of quick items. Just want to notify residents, but also the business community, if you're watching, that the new 1% sales tax will go into effect, non-home rule sales tax, on July 1st. We've sent out a letter to all the businesses in town. Many of the business owners may not, don't live in Lamont, so maybe they weren't paying attention during the referendum. So definitely wanted to notify the business community. They'll have to begin collecting that fee or that tax, because the state, beginning July 1st, will start to collect it, and we will receive that 1% sales tax, subject to the referendum vote, which will be earmarked towards infrastructure. One thing we've talked about from a staff level, and we'll get in the newsletter too, is creating a website once we start collecting the money, where the village's residents can go and view how much is being collected, what it's being spent on. I think in the interest of transparency, we will get that going July 1st. Use some of our tools to get the word out. And if you have any questions on the tax, you can contact Village Hall. Again, we've talked about this. We've been underfunding our infrastructure for several years, and This local tax will give us an opportunity to put towards infrastructure, roads, water, stormwater improvements, sanitary sewer improvements, the nuts and bolts of local government. We just saw the state pass a capital bill, but we have not seen how much, if any, the village is going to see. I think there's going to be potentially some more MFT revenue, but definitely we have enough projects to utilize that 1%. So that information will be going out in the newsletter, just to remind residents of the sales tax. Couple other quick comments. Community development has done a great job. Everyone's pitching in on how best we can share information with the public and communication and transparency. Mark Herman and Jason and their staff, they put together an online development access page. So basically what that means is majority of our development, if there's zoning relief needed or a development review from staff, technical review, planning and zoning, village board, all those cases will go into our online portal, and the residents can go in and view these projects by the map, and they can click on them, and actually they'll get direct access into all the files that community development has. They can view submittals, ordinances, resolutions. They can view traffic studies. I mean, this is really cool, even for the village board. If you want to see something on the front line of when it comes through the process, you will be able to see everything going on. I think it's important. We get more people at our meetings for developments than are passing our $20 million budget. I think development is what it interests people. We want development to work for the community. We want it to bring revenues, bring amenities to the town, but we don't want it to adversely impact our existing residents and businesses. So you will have an opportunity on the front line to view what's coming in, so you can become more educated on development in town. And I think from a PR standpoint, I think if you go on there and you see all the bubbles showing the different parts of town, it shows that there's a lot of interest in Lamont. It's a very attractive place to develop. We'll keep our standards high, but we definitely have a lot going on. And this will just let residents get involved a little bit more. So it's right on our webpage, lamont.il.us. On the front page, you'll be able to click on that portal and see everything that's coming into staff. So definitely thank you, Community Development, for putting that together, and we'll continue to utilize it. Another way we've been trying to reach out to residents, you'll see it in your water bill. Again, we're trying to get more people to sign up to Polco, our online surveying system. We've seen our numbers kind of level off, and I think the reason is the questions are pretty generic and maybe even boring, and more they're more for any town in the U.S. So I think that's what we're seeing. So coming this month, next month, we're going to start doing more Lamont specific questions. And again, please sign up. It's confidential. They ask for your name and your zip code only to prove that you're not a robot and you're not the same person voting 1,000 times. So please go in and sign up. We're going to be talking about our events and how you feel about some of our events coming up. How do you feel about new events? Our communication channels. We're going to be looking at revamping our website, putting together a new online agenda management tool, kind of talk about how you're accessing those products. And I think we're going to get into, when we get into updating our code, we talked about workshopping residential design standards and other parts of our code. I think it'd be good to get some public input in that process too. So we're going to utilize the Polco system to get you involved on how you feel about development in town and our code. So please sign up for Polco. Better questions are coming soon, and eventually we'll get into budget time. We'll talk about projects, how you feel about certain projects. So please get in there. Again, we'll try to make that a little bit more attractive to sign up and answer some questions. So, and that's all I have for you.
Just for the businesses, I'm concerned that, they get the letter, they don't read it. Some charge, obviously via cash. They might take cash only. The 1%, is there other lines of communication, and is that additional 1% built into their online systems?
Yeah, the state will collect that, so.
I know they'll collect it, but I want to make sure I'm a small business owner. I take cash only, and I don't have anything that tells me, except maybe this letter, that there's additional 1% until the state comes back and says, hey, you collected $100,000. Where's my additional?
Department of Revenue sent a letter out as well. And we ran every business license we have. Mark put together a spreadsheet, so, you know, we're trying to reach every business.
Okay.
To let them know on July 1st, they need to start collecting it, because come August, the state will expect them to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they file, they told me that they have newsletters that businesses can go to online. So I don't know if they'll mail it, but they go online and they should read the newsletters. If they don't read the newsletters from the IRS and don't read our newsletters, then they're not.
No. Yeah, I would just make sure we reach out maybe to the chamber, just so that they can, you know, word of mouth.
The chamber probably has an email,
No.
listserv, so maybe we can get that out there as well.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. All right. Next up, do we have any board reports? Staff reports? Mark?
I have one quick item, Mr. Mayor. We've had a lot of visitors down to the quarries over the last week or so, and I wanted to remind folks what the rules were out there. And mostly our visitors are from out of town, but for the folks that are in town, the hours of operation are from dawn to dusk. They're not allowed there at night, and that's when we've mostly been seeing them. If you do make entry to the quarry areas after hours, that's considered trespassing, and our officers are down there. We've written a number of citations over the last week or so. But even during business hours, it is not allowable to camp down there. There's no consumption of alcohol allowed in the quarry area. There's no swimming, and there's certainly, you cannot make bonfires down there, which we've saw this weekend. Beyond the rule violation of swimming, it's extremely dangerous to be jumping in those quarries. And we had one individual that fell into the sanitation canal last week, and we had to fish him out. And that, beyond the dangers of it, is also very unhealthy. So please observe these rules. We're going to be trying to upgrade the signage and some of the visibility of things down there, but we want to try to discourage folks from going in there after hours.
Thanks, Mark.
And Chief, it might be, I'm sure they're aware of it, but to work with the Forge as well, to make sure they're barricading off areas or more signage, but
Absolutely.
yeah, we see it all the time, and you guys have been writing a lot of tickets, but they keep coming, so we want visitors to our quarry area, just not at night and not those activities, so.
Okay, great. Any other staff reports? Ralph, you good? Okay, all right. Next up, unfinished or new business. One thing I want to comment on, we have several commissions, obviously planning and zoning, the art commission, the environmental, the historic, our heritage quarries. What we want to be able to do in one fell swoop is to take care of any vacancies in those commissions. So we will be taking resumes on that. We will be publicly announcing that. We'll keep it open for a couple weeks, but again, stay tuned on that. We want to address any type of, like I said, vacancies, and also what we want to be able to do is to fine tune some of those in order to give a clearer message, as far as what, I think we've done a good job. The Heritage Quarry, we more or less formalized it over the last year and a half, and I think it's doing a great job. All our commissions do a great job, and they're all volunteers, and I appreciate it. The whole board appreciates their assistance. I think what we can do is we can do a better job as far as giving them clearer goals and potentially funding some of them. And I'm not talking about big dollars, but for instance, on the historic preservation, I know Rick, you brought this up before. Some of these commissions, it's tough without any type of, clear directions or goals. I think we as a board need to potentially provide that, and we will provide that. Because I don't, last thing I want to hear is a commission saying, hey, yeah, we're in this commission, but we have no say in matters. And that is not, otherwise we're just meeting to meet. So we want to give specific, clear direction to these commissions. And again, we appreciate all of our volunteers. Again, they do a great job, and I thoroughly appreciate it. So stay tuned there. Anything else as far as Rick?
I have an item I want to get in our thought process. I'm not sure where we want to bring it in, but this is an item for discussion regarding us charging a fee to the fire department for our assistance for our police. The fire department charges when they send out trucks, ambulance, whatever. We're there assisting. They collect the money. We don't get any part of that. So I think we need to discuss it with them and internally and decide how we're gonna handle that. But it just doesn't seem right that they're billing, including us, but we're not part of it. We're not collecting anything. So it does take away our time from the officers, and I think we ought to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, I mean, we have one business that, we've addressed that with them. You know, and because they're a medical facility, they actually pass that along to the insurance company. We should have the ability to do it with our police, staffing. And I understand, you're saying besides, you know,
I mean,
someone else paying for
historically,
it.
if that's how it was handled, I can tell you historically, that's not how it was built. Now, as we said, things change, and as long as they're billing, we need to be considering
Reimbursed.
that also, because we've got problems, you know, making sure that we have enough dollars in our system, so.
Yeah. And we've talked, and Mike, I know when Mike Stillman gets back, we should get together as a team with Chief and talk about what we can do under non-home rule authority about putting an ordinance into place. And it's not for every business, but for these frequent users of our system. You know, as most, we talk, watch the state of the village, we'll go through it again. I mean, we receive very little of the property tax dollars, so, you know, a business might pay a significant amount in property tax. We usually get 6 or 7% of that, so the taxes paid to the village don't cover our cops to be responding all the time. And you're right, the fire district does have the ability to bill, and we gotta find a way for the village to recoup our costs as well.
Under non-home rule.
Yeah.
Right, so I guess there's the opportunity here to schedule in the future. I mean, we'll have to take a poll, what's the best time to do it, but we've got a couple of workshops we've talked about. One were these architectural standards. We need to look at that and make sure that each of our zoning requirements has what it is we're looking for as a group. Those potentially would be open to the public, I would assume.
Yep.
But there may be one that we need to look at in a closed session as we talk about the potential for applying different allowance for taxes that came with this last election in the state. There are some other provisions that are available to us. We need to talk about that strategically and what we want to do, and then bring it to the public, I think. But we'll have to talk with the attorneys to see where do we draw the line on what can or can't be discussed, because it is involving money and collections and that type of thing. So.
Yep. Anyone else? Okay, no executive session, correct?
Nope.
All right, with that being said, at a little bit after 8 o'clock, we need a motion to
We have one
adjourn.
resident, I know,
Oh.
we already went through public comment, but
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
At what point do we get to talk to you guys as a resident of Lamont in regard to Timber Run subdivision? I know on the paper, which I didn't get, it was, I guess you guys ran out of them. I noticed it said participation, audience participation at the beginning of the Timberline time, you know, that time frame. Is that what we were supposed to talk about?
Yes, but come on up.
Okay.
Come on up, yeah. And again, we've, you know, we want to hear from our residents, so.
And I think most of my neighbors that were here also wanted to speak, but they left because they weren't aware that they were able to.
Okay, yeah, come on up.
Okay, my name is Joan Walsh. Moved into town in 1977. Been living in my current residence for 33 years, which backs up immediately to the new subdivision. I think it's all well and fine that these guys want to come in and, you know, build on this property. Everyone wants to make a buck. But I think they're doing it at the safety, at the disadvantage of the safety of the residents. You guys said that studies have been done showing that it's not that bad, that it's, you know, that it's okay. Maybe the study should be done after the Timberline Knolls development is finished up there. Because I drive by that minimum twice a day. Minimum, I'm talking, I probably drive by this area 6 times a day on the weekends. That development now is building another structure. So I'm just curious, if they're basing this study off of what's happening right now, not in full-blown summer when there's kids going up and down. My kids are grown. They use that hill constantly they shouldn't have been doing it, but from skateboarding, from you name it, riding their bikes, everything. Well, kids are not in, school's in session or just about to get out, I think. That's when this study should be done. And I think the study should be done in the thick of the winter when we have the ice. You cannot stop. It's been told over and over and over. If you live over there, you'll know what I'm talking about. And I'm thinking that maybe another study that should go into effect would be talk to the bus drivers that try to go up and down that hill. And now they're gonna have to make that turn into the one and only entrance exit of that development. That does not make sense to me to do that. But what I really think that should be what the main focus should be, let's see what's gonna happen with Timberline Knolls. We have no idea of the amount of traffic that's coming in and out of there. What are those structures even going to be? Is that residence? I mean, they're awfully big, at least the first one that I saw being built. You can see it when you're across the bridge, you can see it. I just think that this is something that you're not gonna be able to take back once this goes through. And Timberline Knolls, from the looks of it, it's gonna be a while before we're gonna see the full effects of that traffic. So when I'm driving down to the train every morning, 5 days a week, and I'm trying to get through that construction traffic right now, I can't imagine what it's gonna be like throwing in traffic from there, throwing in traffic from the one and only entrance and exit of that new subdivision, throw in the weather, whether it's, a little bit of ice or rain or whatever, and then try to stop. It just is such a massive risk. I'm shocked that you'd want to do that. To the residents, to the temporary residents that are at Timberline Knolls, to whether it's going to be like a maintenance type area, and they're bringing trucks in and out, maintenance vehicles in and out of there, and they're going very, very slow, and now we've got to stop going down that hill? I don't know. Other than Kwasniewski, I don't know if any of you other guys live in that area. You don't know what I'm talking about unless you live there. I mean, there's been one too many times where I have gone up over that curve because of the snow and the ice. And I would say Lamont probably has the best snow removal than any town around here. But there's nothing that you can do to stop that on that hill. So that's a huge concern of mine. Can I go to another topic?
Sure.
The brick wall that's going to be put up. To me, that is a kid's dream come true to be jumping off of that. I find that to be very unsafe. I find the retention pond just another thing for the kids to mess around in. I believe a retention pond only retains water when it's overflow. Is that correct? Or will this always have water in it?
I think these will be natural, they're naturalized ponds, so, yeah.
So it's overflow, so it'll only be when necessary, when there's an overflow of
Correct.
water. Okay. Well, to me, you put a wall in front of that, and that just speaks all kinds of fun to kids. I find it to be another very, very big concern of mine. I know that people who own property want to develop it. It's, you talked about a sweet spot. Let's bring more people into town. I totally agree with that, but I think if there could be another way for them to access that area, it would be safer for everybody involved. I just think that would be something you really should think a lot more about. I know the brick issue was a big deal. I'm totally in agreement with that. I think you're kind of downsizing, the appearance, it's a richer look if you do that. I understand, you think that kids might not be looking for that, young adults, whatever, but I don't think that's what's gonna come to Lamont. I think the influx of people going into the city is so much bigger than people wanting to move into Lamont as young couples or whatever, young families. And that's why all these big businesses have moved into the city. I mean, that's just common sense, why they have moved. It's been reported why these big businesses have moved into the city, because that's where the workforce, the younger workforce, is living now. Another thing I want to bring up is you talked about development, how this is such an amazing town and everyone wants to come to it. Why do we have so many vacant businesses in this town? A lot of empty stores, a lot of stores in the downtown area that can't stay open. I think it's a great town, obviously. I've been here since 1977. But, you know, it's another thing to look at. Maybe the people won't be that interested in moving into that area because what does Lamont have to offer? You know, it's another thing to take into consideration. And lastly, is there any way, I have called 3 times now to talk to someone about doing something about the crosswalk down by the train, down by the Metro train. At night, in the fall time and in the winter time, it is pitch black down there. People fly past us when we're trying to walk across the street. All we're doing is taking 10 minutes to get from the train station over to the VFW, and then everyone's gone. And I've asked if they could maybe put some lights down there, if they could have a community service vehicle sit there for 1 minute. These cars are flying. I witnessed an accident. I flat out witnessed an accident because somebody thought someone was turning and the other car T-boned them. Well, on a normal day, most of the people from the train would have been walking across the street right there. So what I've noticed now is there is no paint on the pavement there signifying the crosswalk. So if you can't indicate that it's a crosswalk and pedestrians are there, which we do have the right of way, maybe if there was paint on the ground, you know, with the stripes, maybe that would help. But cars just, they don't pay any attention to that flashing light unless we are walking like directly in front of them. Then they finally stop. I mean, the semis, very, very few times do we ever do the pedestrians get the right of way there. So another safety issue that I wanted to bring up.
A question, is this the crosswalk by Gelsosimo's, where you go?
No,
Or
this is
further
the
west.
crosswalk from the Metro train that goes directly to the corner by the VFW hall.
Okay.
Okay.
That gets done every year. That gets done every year with our road program. Striping does. There's so much traffic there, it just gets tore up. But it's going to be scheduled probably end of August.
Well, hopefully paint on the road will keep us from getting hit, but in the meanwhile, it is very, very dangerous.
And Joan, I agree. I mean, it is, you know, that's what we're trying to do is calm the traffic in that area. We've been working with the businesses downtown. I mean, I went to Gelsosimo's the other day and I walk out of I park on Main Street and a truck almost rips off my door, you know? And we've made an emphasis, we've talked, Chief, about the last 2 months on this? Hopefully you are seeing more of a presence down there because we have a person dedicated. Tony told me he was going to be camped out there in that area to look at the calming of it. We've looked at, Joan, putting in flashing lights.
So there are 2 signs.
Yeah, but
I
the
don't
one
think
of the issues we run into, like to me, I would prefer to put a stop sign in there but I don't think we can because it's a. Why don't you comment on that?
State,
And Ralph and I have met with the IDOT folks, and they're just not.
IDOT runs that road, so even though it's in our town, we cannot dictate a stop sign can go in there. In fact, you know, IDOT on a couple of occasions have taken down some of. Ralph, do you want to comment on that?
We had those no turning up Timberline Drive off of New Avenue for trucks. IDOT took those signs down. We're just not capable of putting them up on the right of way. They take down our signs.
And our speed
They're not
reduction
very,
signs.
they're not very cooperative.
Yeah.
Speed reductions.
Yes. So Chief and I have been working on lowering the speed limit in downtown from 25 to 20. So we're in the process of working on that.
Yeah. I mean, bottom line is Illinois, our state, Department of Transportation, they are taking down our signs and we're telling them this is an issue here. And unfortunately, we're not getting the right feedback from them. They're
Maybe a
actually,
letter from the neighborhood and/or from the riders to your representatives would help.
Yep.
Get into Jim Durkin's office, get into Senator Kern's office.
the head of the
I
IDOT.
gotta get word back to IDOT.
Yeah, unfortunately, specific to that issue.
Well, we've also, it probably won't help at that area, we've talked about diverting trucks and putting them onto Illinois or on Lamont Road, and that, we could bring that up at a workshop. There's repercussions to that. You might have queuing up on Illinois over by the VFW, but, because we control the section right in the downtown, just not over by the VFW.
You have that now, though. They queue up, going up the hill, making a left turn at the VFW to go west. There's not enough room coming off of Illinois down the hill to make the left turn.
Yeah.
It only takes 3 semis to get up to the curve.
So. Let us keep working, and when we workshop that again, we'll make sure we give you a call. You can be part of it, because I know, Chief, we've talked to the residents on Timberline about trucks diverting. They shouldn't be. Sometimes they're following their GPS, but they're going down Timberline to get to 355, and they shouldn't be. That's a local road, so we're always trying to chase that problem, but we'll workshop it again here in the near future.
And I know, John, you brought up some other issues regarding the safety on Timberline, and, you know, that's something, hey, if there are specific issues, this is not a done deal. I mean, as far as what other things we can do. You know, if we need to put in, you know, whatever it may be, speed bumps, put in, what do you call the roads that have the divots to create, you know, to stop, you know,
Rumble strips.
you know, whatever it may be to, you know, safety is our number one thing. So this is.
It's not gonna cure the problem. The problem is that incline. That's the bottom line. I mean, you
Yeah.
can put whatever type of, you know, the big bumps in the road,
Yeah.
you can, you know, you can put all the signs up you want, but you cannot stop. You
Yeah.
can't stop on that hill. And that is, and it's also in the turn. So, you know, you're talking about now you're curving right there. And like I said, when I go down there and that construction traffic is there, that is not enough. It's probably 2.5 lanes worth of distance from curb to curb. So now you've got buses coming out of there. I'm just curious how emergency vehicles are going to be able to make that turn. You know, I mean, they don't bend. I just think the whole thing really, really needs to be looked at thoroughly, and it needs to be looked at the peak of the congestion when the Timberline Knolls development is done. That's when you're gonna see a very, very large increase in traffic.
Actually, there may be less. It's
Why?
Because it's a hospital, and they don't have a lot of traffic in and out. What you have now is all the workers, so you may have more traffic now than you will once the residents are in the hospital. Typically, they don't have a lot of cars going in and out of there. I'm just letting you know.
I could add some context, so just because you're curious. Timberline Knolls is building a 9,000 square foot welcome center, and a second building will be 28 new beds.
So, and the new beds, again, these are not patients that are leaving on a
That's
daily
what I'm-
basis.
Patients typically don't drive. so-
Yeah. I mean, right now,
We called it a welcome center. So right
Yeah.
there, that's where people will be coming in and out of. So I
That's
don't
what
know.
they'll be dropping off.
They'll be dropping off.
dropping off the patients,
So why
yeah.
would it be less traffic? It would be additional traffic. They'll be taking more patients. I live right there. I see the paparazzi all lined up and down the street when they have a celebrity in there. I see the people coming in and out. I see the workers running up and down trying to find patients that have left there. I mean, people think it's a very serene, quiet area. There is a lot of activity there. Not to mention the hunters that go back behind my house, and I can hear their guns going off. I mean, there's a lot going on back there that I don't think you realize unless you live in that area. And I have 33 years of experience to back all this up, and I have called numerous times I've seen the hunters come walking through, and all their, in all their garb and everything, and their bow and arrow on their backs and stuff. And I keep thinking, oh my God, when you're out here shooting, I hope you're not aiming by my house or by any of the other houses on Timberline. So it's a very active area, and if you don't live there, and if you haven't walked back there, you would have no idea. And my kids have, they're all grown. It's a big spot. It's a very popular area. A lot of coming and going. So, I mean, I'm guessing that none of you guys have ever walked through there.
I grew up there.
No.
Off of Timberline?
I grew up on the corner of Piper and Warner when that was all woods, all of it.
Okay.
Timberline wasn't there. The one east of
Ellie Ridge
Timberline
wasn't
wasn't there.
Well, when I moved there, hardly anything was there on Timberline too.
Right.
We were one of the
Walter
first houses in there.
Street was the end of the line.
Yeah, so, anyway, well, thank you very much. And when's the next meeting?
Next
Well,
week. Or,
For this topic or
Yes.
Timber Run, they'll move forward with final engineering, and then they'll come for a final plat. I mean, the entitlements are in place, but it hasn't been engineered yet. There's still opportunity for additional measures on Timberline Drive. You know, I'd also, maybe we can, by that meeting, we could talk to, I know we have to talk to the folks at Timberline Knolls again to get a better understanding of their operations. Even though they're adding beds, what we're being told is that it's to spread out their patients a little bit more, that the number of patients necessarily may not go
Yeah, I
through the
mean,
roof. So let's get more information.
We've had, I mean, specific to Timber Knolls, I mean, I know we're kind of going off topic here. We've had many of conversations in the last three months here, and there are changes being made there. We are addressing it, and they are under our radar big time, and they know it. And you know, we told them, hey, you're trying to build something new. You have issues at that place right now. We are addressing that, and we need to feel very comfortable with it. To Rick's point, you know, Rick, I think, not to talk for Rick, you know, right now there's a lot of traffic because there's construction traffic. We were told that those beds right now are potentially going to marginally increase the population there, because right now they have overflow at a couple of their buildings, and they have to do two per room. And then what they want to be able to do is do one per room.
So it's an increase. Across the board, it's an increase.
It's a marginal increase. Yeah, it is. I mean, but when we talk about that, you know, the average length of stay is 20 days. If you have a marginal increase of 10 cars, you're talking about half a car every other day. I mean, I think the majority of the traffic is going to be coming from this, obviously, this new subdivision. And again, we've had the traffic studies done. I think, is it going to increase relative to what it is today? Yes, but, you know, all we could do is rely on those traffic studies. And we'll rely on it once the subdivision's in, Joe. I mean, we'll look at it. If there are safety issues, we're gonna address it. So.
That's kind of after the fact?
I think before the fact, I think what we're trying to do is, they said you don't need anything there. There's not enough traffic there, is what these studies are telling us.
Well, I can recall at one point, they did put a stop sign there. And it was there and gone, you know, pretty quick. And I think it's, for one, I think people were blowing through it because you can't stop. And I just think that if you're going to let this go through, and Timberline Knolls is gonna have their, you know, increased traffic, and then you're gonna do a study, what is the point of that then? At that point, it's gone too far.
Yeah, we've done the study. I think what your point is do another study afterwards.
My point is, do the study when it's at the peak of the most dangerous time, when there's snow on the ground, when there's, you know, the
I think that's
sleep
when
that
it
we
was
get.
done, was it not?
They rely on traffic tables from international transportation engineers. And the stop bars and locations of the stop signs are designed to accommodate emergency vehicles. So they're designed to be in a location so that those vehicles can make the turns in and out of there. And Timberline was addressed because we have the approved PUD or approved plan development. So that's why there's a four-way stop sign there. So there's a stop sign, two on Timberline, one at.
As far as emergency
and run-
vehicles,
and run at,
fire department signed off on that.
yeah.
In fact, we just, as part of this, we had them widen the road a little bit to accommodate that even more, but that wasn't called for.
So in the buses to Gorski and
Yes.
the school district is all, they're all good with?
Yes.
Yep.
They can make
Okay.
it.
They're involved in this at the beginning. That's one of the first meetings is.
Their bus dimensions are actually on the traffic study also, tell you how wide the school bus is, how wide a fire truck is.
That's actually included as part of your packet. Or you could go on the development map, which George mentioned earlier. It's all there.
And that traffic study's out there as well. I thought the traffic study was during the winter, maybe it was March or.
It was
February.
March and April, I think.
Okay,
But
so
we had
maybe
snow in March and April.
Chief's
Lots
been
of,
doing some additional studying himself, parking out there and watching traffic flows.
as far as the grade, I mean, we have other places in town where the grade is even steeper than that.
But the
With
schools-
stop signs.
You
Julia,
have two entrances that meet.
Well, we
that
have
each
intersections.
Crisscross, yeah.
Yeah, right on. I mean, at the same, if you think about this, you have the same kind of elevation right here on State Street, right? Where you have, what is it, Custer? I mean, where you have, I mean, it's not apples to apples, but it's as steep, you know, I mean, it's,
Julia Street with
Got
the,
a
with
Holmes,
the,
you
with the
got
school.
Julia.
By the high school, yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Well, throw
And-
in, you know, the
anything
semi-traffic that
right
needs
here.
to be there.
Right
and-
here.
This is a
Right here,
steeper
coming
road.
down to Illinois Street, that grade is
curve.
steeper. And you have to stop at Illinois so you don't hit the truck you're talking about. So, I mean, example can be given right here. You have live traffic coming down a hill that's steeper than that hill. Why you can't stop, I don't know. Maybe they're going too fast. That would probably be the reason.
We also have a lot of bike clubs that go up and down the hill.
Mhm.
So that's a real popular thing on
Right.
weekends. A lot of, groups of them going up down, but I don't know, I just wanted to voice my concern.
appreciate it.
Like I said, I've been
No, we
here-
appreciate it, Joe.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll
very
continue to
concerned.
keep an eye on it, absolutely.
So when did you say the next date for the meeting where this would be something?
We will get that out on our website. We don't know how quick they'll move on engineering.
They'll have to submit an application.
Yeah.
for-
Actually, it'll go through the process again, so you'll see it,
We meet
we'll
the
get it out,
second and the
though.
third.
Yep.
Second and third are our voting meetings. I mean, second and the fourth are our voting meetings, and the third is our cow meeting.
Will the final,
Third Monday?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Okay.
Yeah.
And
Of
leave your
every
email with
month.
us, and we'll make sure we send you an email when it happens. That's the easiest way.
will the
Okay.
final PUD go through planning and zoning again, or not?
Yeah,
Yes.
but it's not a public hearing.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't get the public notice, so sometimes people miss when it comes back through final, so yeah, make sure you have our contact information, and we'll add you to the list and make sure you get.
And the reason we don't know is they go through the detailed engineering now, and there's still a lot of work they do, so, I mean, it could be 6 months or 8 months from now, or it could be 2 months when it starts. So it's really up to them now to pace it, to do the more detailed work, and then submit it to our staff. Our staff reviews it, and then submits it to planning and zoning, and then it comes back to the village board.
Okay.
So that's, we're not trying to beat around the bush. I know that's why the answer is kind of generic, is because it could be any
But
time.
in any event, all our meetings are posted.
Yeah.
It's on the calendar, so you can just go to the website.
And we'll
It's
do
there.
additional
Yeah.
notice first.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? We good?
Okay, we need.
Move we adjourn.
All right, yeah, motion to adjourn. We got a first by trustee Stapleton, seconded by trustee Snagowski. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion is approved. We are finished for this evening.